Do you think that there's any issues? There was a bunch of companies added to the export control list 2 days ago. Some were in quantum computing. Generally, a lot of it, though, was in the Nvidia ecosystem. So I think that the US government is really trying to make sure that these next-gen GPUs don't go directly to China, but also don't go to countries that could then redirect them into China. Did you get a chance to look at that, or did your team look at that yet?
Oh, yeah. And I think this will be part of, the upcoming negotiation between America and China. But it is hard. It's like if we can't, if America cannot keep illegal drugs out of, out of our own country, these GPUs are arguably dramatically more valuable per unit. Like a Blackwell is like, the size of this. And it's just hard, particularly like, America, we're trying to keep drugs out. Here, China is trying to bring the GPUs in. And it's kind of significantly, I think harder to prevent than smuggling of illegal drugs. Now, everybody does their best. But the United States, I think it's always going to be kind of a game of cat and mouse until you get some sort of grand bargain. And right now, they're allowed to sell certain kinds of GPUs into China. And I'm sure they'll be.
Should we be doing that, Gavin? Is this going to be an effective strategy? If you were advising the president, would you say, just let Nvidia sell them? It's a fool's errand to try to stop them because they're all going to Singapore or wherever, Vietnam, and routing their way around.
I think we're putting enough friction into the system that it does theoretically give America an advantage at the cost of creating tremendous incentives for China to develop their own semiconductor ecosystem and, pressure to kind of, necessity is the mother of innovation. And these export controls are creating an immense incentive for China to be really algorithmically innovative. And you saw that with DeepSeek, where there were some real algorithmic innovations.
Yeah.
So, said another way, if we squeeze too tightly on letting them buy the NVIDIA chips, they might make a better NVIDIA.
I mean, I think that would
resilient.
I think they're doing it now. They're trying now.
Yeah.
So
they're trying, but I guess what are the chances they succeed in your mind, Gavin, in creating something competitive with or better? And then what would that say about the AI race?
In the next 5 years, I think 0. I think it's really, really hard. But over the 10 years, who knows? And if you're the CCP, 10 years isn't that long. If you're America, 10 years is an eternity.
Yeah, they're thinking in centuries, and we're thinking in decades. Yeah, that's probably correct. Hey, let's pivot over to AI agents since we're in the AI, and obviously there's other big topics this week we'll get to, in politics and signal and all that kind of good stuff. But we have a company that seems to be having a moment. It's called Manus, MANUS. It's currently in private beta, but they're creating agents, and we've been talking about this agentic revolution. Basically, little, jobs going out. We used to call them cron jobs back in the day, but going out and doing things for you. And it seems to be working, and it's pretty impressive. What do you think about this company specifically, if anything? And are we getting to a point where we're going to have the same ChatGPT 2.5 moment, but with agents? And then if we do have that, Gavin, what will that look like in terms of employment and how companies are run?
Look, I do think if agents materialize as a reality, and, Manus is maybe a little bit of a ChatGPT moment for that, I would say OpenAI and Anthropic developed something called the Model Context Protocol that OpenAI just adopted. I think it will become a standard, and it makes it really easy for an LLM like Stripe can just integrate with MCP, and then any LLM that uses MCP can, interact with Stripe. And this is solving a big, big problem for agents in terms of just making them, much easier to use, much more standardized. But if agents become a reality, one, the ROI on AI and Blackwell is going to be very high. And two, it's not good for human employment, but what will be kind of, I would say, the rate limiting factor is just compute. In a world where we all have agents doing things for us all day long, it's going to be a long time before we have enough compute in the ground for that to be a really, really widespread reality. And I think that's why, OpenAI was talking about pricing their first agents at $2,000 to $20,000 a month. Like this ROI on AI question, I think to me really does come down to agents in the short term.